forget, this is, of course, brought to you by our very, very good friends at Unique Wrought Iron. Check them out online. They've got some great specials every day of the week. You can go searching for what might look good at your place.
TJ, we're looking for a theme for the deep dive. Thought of Joel Selwood this week. His sportsmanlike behaviour was questioned, and West Coast are playing the Western Bulldogs today. Took me back to a moment which was really controversial, which involved Danny Southern. I know he's highly embarrassed and was scared by what happened, but this is he and Peter Sumich. He obviously got a big brawl broke out after Brett Heddy was knocked out. They got him. He got Sumich in a headlock, and he got a $10,000 fine. Poor Peter Sumich, you saw there, you could fearing for his life at that point in time.
Jeez.
And had to be carried off on a stretcher through the scare. Obviously, Danny Southern never intended for that to happen, but got him for too long, couldn't breathe. And that starts the controversial moments. And the other one was Chris Judd, pressure point. Steven Seagal, pressure point. So here, this was something we'd never seen on a footy field before in unsportsmanlike behaviour. And Chris Judd there, never seen anything like it, had we, Damo, there with that before. I'm not sure who the player was that he's done it to, but this brought about the end of Brendan Favola too, because he was at the Brownlow medal and he never played for Carlton again when he had a few too many beers, Damo, and came up behind Chris Judd and lost his career. He went to the Brisbane Lions.
He also had a wayward elbow, Juddy, in the year he won a second Brownlow, didn't he, on Pavlich, wasn't it? So he can do certain things that made us laugh after the event, but weren't too good at the time.
Yep. And we're not going back that far to see that sort of stuff. Hey, do you remember Chris Lewis?
Yes.
Yeah, great player.
Superstar.
But
Smooth.
This one occasion in, I think it was 1991, when he was alleged to have bitten the hand of Todd Viney, and it was a huge story at the time, so much so that he was later suspended for 3 weeks after an AFL investigation. So, as I said, just an unbelievable player, a highly decorated player, and whilst that was not a great part of his CV, I think everything else he did sort of, still puts him up there as one of the best West Coast Eagles players. But you can see from Todd Viney's reaction there with his finger that something had gone amiss.
Yeah, super talent. Look, I'm going back to the same year you just highlighted, 1994, the infamous Tony Lockett on Peter Caven moment, which shocked the footy world at the time and still does to a point, given what could have happened. And
Can't watch.
The 7 weeks that Lockett was to 8 weeks that he was to get for the hit, the same game in which he kicked 11 goals, 7 of those in the last quarter to help the Saints get up from a 50-plus point deficit early in that last quarter, and then ended up being a swan the very next year when Ron Joseph liked what he saw with that aggression and that leadership that he saw and got him to the Swans the very next year.
The Brisbane Lions were fierce through that period where they were winning premierships, and they wanted to make a statement against a young Nick Riewoldt, who was just a budding superstar, had a sore shoulder, and they went after him. Mel Michael, Jamie Charman, the Scott brothers. Charman got 2 weeks for charging Riewoldt, but there's no other charges laid in that one, so that was a very unsavoury incident. This was not you, Lordo. This was a former teammate of mine, Crusher Critiuk, so just wanted to go after you. You had a sore hand going into the game. We all knew about that, and Crusher took it upon himself to go after that right hand for most of the game.
I had no issues with it because I'd been out for 8 weeks and my hand was fine to take hits like that. But I know afterwards the AFL didn't look like that at all, and it was never to happen again after that point.
Did you have any dialogue with him at all after that game?
We're fine. We're fine with it.
Yeah, I know that now, but I mean...
Not straight after, no.
No.
Not straight after. But I know that I'd kicked the goal and I charged into Critiuk's back and said, a few sort of Steve, and then that's when after just set him off. It was like the pokey machine. Stephen's eyes just started rolling and he went after my hand for the rest of the game.
He's on fire today, Lordo. That was a rule change as well. I reckon this change in grand finals, where the severity of incidents for the tribunal now have been doubled, isn't it?
Yeah, there was doubled out of this game.
Yeah, out of this
Jonathan
game.
Brown was involved in an incident.
Alistair Lynch had torn his quad early on in this game.
You guys started it. Damien Hardwick started the whole fight, didn't he?
Yeah, there was a bit going on in this game.
Did any land?
No, I don't think so. Thankfully, but in the
Looks
end,
good, though.
it was his last game, Alistair Lynch, and probably signalled the end of Brisbane's unbelievable era. He was fined $15,000 and got 10 weeks, albeit it was his last game, so it didn't impact him.
Lucky you weren't caught up in that volcano.
I was well away, Lordo. I was miles away. It just went the other way.
Yeah, you know what it is like when there's spot fires. He just bolts.
Now, this is the one where I was in most shock. This is round 4, 2008. I remember the shock, being at home on the couch watching this one. I remember the way the game's been cleaned up. I thought this would never, ever happen. Adam Hunter, he stood strong for his teammate there. It was like Kane, when you fell to Barry Hall that day. But this was awful, 7 weeks, and lucky Brent was okay in the end.
These are all different times, different places. Mark Rasciuto's hit on Dean Kemp all those years ago, nothing came of it. he played the next week and wasn't even a free kick.
Play on.
Yeah.
A big hit, isn't it?
Massive hit, and it was an accumulation of hits for Dean Kemp, wasn't it?
Started wearing a helmet after that.
Affected him later in his footy career, but two amazing talents there coming together.
And it shows how far we've come in the game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where
In a short space of time.
No suspension there, and how that's just not tolerated anymore, which is great.
Craig Kelly started the pinching with Jason Dunstall and Tony Lockett, but then a couple of years ago, Ben Stratton decided that he was going to pinch. And I can't remember how many weeks he got, but it was certainly an investigation into it. 2 weeks he got. And it was a bad look, and the cameras followed him all that night. And as you see, having a chat to the umpire there.
You wouldn't pinch, would you?
Nah, it's not.
Kane, you
Terrible.
wouldn't pinch, would
No.
you?
No, I never pinched.
No.
Terrible. For Orazio to have to put up with that all night, I was very pleased that Stratton got 2 weeks. And again, we haven't seen that since, which is fantastic as well.
A few coaches might have wanted to have done this to Damo and myself, perhaps, but have a look at Brad Scott lining up David King here in the last year, and didn't get him, but I think there was some words exchanged there. After
and there are the words there. Oh,
Yeah,
even
it
in
was on.
slow-mo.
Hey,
was
David
on.
King had written an article about him.
I think he said he was I don't want to use the wrong word, but a visitor. I think
A visitor
might have
to
been
the club.
word that he used.
Yeah.
But TJ, I know it might be hard for some to watch, but also what brings us to the game with some of those incidents like that.
Yeah, that's right. And as we said, we've come a long way in a short
have.
space of time with some of those. You look back at them, you think, oh, lucky social media wasn't around then. Could you imagine the Peter Sumich one, for example? That would have gone on for weeks
Wouldn't it?
and weeks.
Wouldn't it?
Well, it
Yeah.
probably will now that we've highlighted it again.